In an era that saw the rise of Arthur Rubinstein, Vladimir Horowitz, and saw the passing of many of the great virtuosi of the first 4 decades of the century, Hoffmann and Rachmaninoff perhaps most notably, Brailowsky maintained a connection with his many fans and admirers that was unshakable. His musical personality was a beautiful, gentle, yet virile one that colored all he did. His widow survives him and was kind enough to speak with us about the man and his life. We will punctuate our conversation with her with some of Brailowsky's rarer recordings. The recorded legacy of this pianist is actually rather strange and unrepresentative of his repertoire. We asked Madame Brailowsky about this.
He played quite a large number of, practically all of Beethoven's sonatas that are playable, so to say. He liked very much to play the Brahms sonata and played it very often. Then naturally everything by Schumann, the Liszt sonata, naturally. That was the debut in New York, was the Liszt sonata. He had absolutely no limit in his repertoire.
Did he also play Scarlatti?
Oh my God, yeah, there is the recording Pastorale Capriccio and the sonata, naturally. And the Mozart, there is a very beautiful performance of Mozart concerto with Dr. Kusevitsky and Boston Symphony that luckily I have on tape that. But he played all of the Beethoven concerti, which means 3. Third, fourth, and fifth.
The complete concert.
Yes. Yes. So there was really no limitation, except that we have to admit that Chopin was exclusively a piano composer, and that he wrote so many magnificent things for piano that naturally you included him in every program. But I cannot say that he was some kind of a specialization. First of all, you cannot be a Chopin specialist. That's impossible, because Chopin is a composer who expresses all kinds of moods, requests all kinds of moods, all kinds of touch, of piano approach and everything. How can you be a specialist of Chopin? For a composer who has so many various, moods, so many various approaches to the piano even, and the harmonic, structure too. So you cannot be, in order to play really Chopin, I think you have to begin with play everybody else.
Well, yes, Chopin created himself out of other composers.
No, the only 2 composers that he really respected was Mozart and Bach. Later on Beethoven. But not his contemporary. No Schumann, no Liszt. No, it was Mozart, Bach, later on Beethoven.
And Brailowsky felt this and respected
this. Oh, yes,
this.
very much so. Very much so. He often said that to him to play Chopin is very much like playing Mozart in certain works, naturally. That he sees the connection between Mozart, the approach to music, let's put it that way, not to the piano, but to music, of Mozart and Chopin. The perfection of the form, the perfection of everything which you have in Mozart, you have in Chopin.
Mm-hmm.
No exaggeration. He hated exaggeration. He hated, the exaggerated rubato. He would say that's a hysterical playing. Or he would say rather that it's a old maid playing, excuse me.
Your husband would say that?
Oh, sure. He was against the drawn out, exaggerated rubato. He was very much against that. He saw Chopin as a romantic, in the same time classic, both together, which is pretty normal, because after all, Chopin himself, his father was French, his mother was, so he was half Slavic and half Latin, which makes, for the perfection of the form and no exaggeration, no nothing of that.
What do you imagine, and I can't think of anyone else better to ask, what would he like his legacy to be?
He was terribly unhappy that most of the works that composer that he admired so much and played so much is not on records. That was something which really, until the last day of his life, made him feel terribly unhappy. Unhappy, sometimes even angry,
Why, because of the distorted picture?
Completely distorted pictures.
What was he like?
He was extremely shy to begin with.
Oh?
And how?
Alexander Brailowsky
Yes.
was shy?
And how? He was only at home on the stage. There, no. He was only at ease, really at ease, on stage and with his audience. Already if he had to go for a dinner somewhere, he would be like that to people that he did not know very well, let's put it that way. He was very shy. Oh, yes.
Can you account for that?
Oh, you are born like that. If you are born shy, you remain for the rest of your life. He was not a fighter. He would never fight for his rights or things like that. And then he was not a diplomat either. So altogether.
What does that conceal, the fact that he wasn't a diplomat? He just didn't care for...
No. He thought what he always told what he thought.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy, you can imagine how good it is. That he always did. He did not know what the word lying means. He did not know that there are people that lie, for example. He believed that such a thing, lying, does not exist. What does it? He never lied himself. And therefore also he never thought that other people can lie. Such idea did not just occur to him.
Couldn't you have given him some lessons?
I left him be as he was. To begin with, because I don't believe that you can teach character, because that's what it is. You are born with a certain character and you die with that character. Teaching a character is impossible.
Then I gathered he didn't personally regret being shy. It was...
No, that was a normal state for him.
Mm-hmm.
He was not pushy, nothing of that. He had nothing to do with his piano playing. There, not only he was not shy, but just the opposite of shyness. He was extremely explosive at the piano, my God. There was the shyness would disappear completely. When it came to the piano, it was just the opposite of shyness. He loved the audience. For him, the audience was nothing but friends. And he loved to play, and he loved to go on stage. And I remember he always took not long vacation, but at least vacation from concert playing. He took 3 months for his program and for his studying, that and that and that. After a certain time of preparation of his season, of his programs, came a moment that he was really anxious to go on. You could not keep him home.
Where did he like to perform, particularly?
Everywhere.
Everywhere?
I cannot tell you that he had preferences in that sense. Not at all. He loved to play in Stockholm and he loved to play in Madrid, which are 2 completely different things. And in Vienna, my God, that was so to say his city. No, and United States, he always liked very much, frankly, the audiences in the United States, and he thought that the idea that the Americans do not understand or understand less than Europeans, that was not so at all. That it was rather a kind of a complex. That there is no difference when you go on tour here with an audience in the United States or an audience if you go on tour in Europe, somewhere in Holland or I don't know where, or in Germany. Only that here there is a certain form of a complex that one does not understand that well music, which is not true.
No, it isn't.
No, it is not.
Did he feel he had any shortcomings? Was there anything he was constantly working on?
You mean pianistically? Not
Yes.
at all. Not at all. He had hands which were ideal for piano. Therefore, he did not need even to practice that much. Thanks to, to his long fingers, a large hand. There were certain passages that he practically could play. He did not need to practice. Like, for example, let's take the second movement of the Schumann Fantasy, the jumps here. He did not need to practice them. He always forward they are. Because, of his hands.
Uh-huh.
He really did not have any technical problems.
How about interpretive?
Interpretive, that was changing. Once he played the program 3, 4, 5 times, he would begin sending telegrams and changing the programs.
Nice. I bet they loved him for that.
I don't know if they loved him that much for that.
Managers, I mean.
Exactly. That was, But he would get tired of playing the same thing too often.
Supposing through some time lock or some fluke in history, your husband were now, say, 20 years of age.
Yes.
Would he be happy in today's concert world?
No, he would not be able to exist. I don't think that he would be able to exist.
He wouldn't?
No. As it is today, no.
Why not? What you're conjecturing, I know.
Because there's too much pressure around. Too much materialistic interests. And especially too much pressure. He would like to be complete at ease. Also, he liked to do very much what he wanted to do. Or today, that's the greatest luxury, to be able to do whatever you want to do.
Indeed.
So from that point of view, for example, he would say, well, okay, next year I want to play only 20 concerts. Right. In his time, he could do that. Today it is very difficult, almost impossible.
Why is that?
Everything changed. It's not only the musical world, the whole world changed. First of all, the distances. Don't you understand one thing, for example? When a heavy schedule in Europe would finish, before to start a heavy season in this country, we had a beautiful trip on a magnificent steamship, and 8-day great rest, and you were arriving, resting to start your tour in the United States. And coming back was the same situation. After a heavy tour in the United States, you will take the steamship and you will eat magnificently, already caviar for the breakfast, and then you would go to Europe after, and you would arrive rested after 10 days of a most magnificent rest. Today, that does not exist. They take a Concorde. You can play in New York tonight and tomorrow evening in Paris. Everything is done by plane. There is no more that wonderful rest that a trip on, I remember the trip to Rio de Janeiro would take 14 days. That was magnificent. Today, everything is done by plane. So there is no rest at all. Physically or emotionally, you just jump from one country, to another climate, to another language, to another audiences. That's what the complete change is all about.
What does too much playing do? Or what did he feel too much playing would do?
He was very much opposed to that. Too much playing makes out of you a machine like, playing. Too much is no good either. Too little is not good and too much is not good. Everybody should know his measure. How many concerts a year you can perform without showing any kind of tiredness, or bore, even because it can be boring too. That one should be able to feel exactly, now came the moment that I am tired, that I don't give best of myself. That was the big question, to give the best what you have in you. When you cannot do that, when you don't have any more enthusiasm to play, you stay home and take a rest.
I'm not going to ask.
Yes.
I'm going to ask around the question, because if I ask, did he have a happy life? That's kind of nonsense, I think, for an artist. But what sort of life did he have?
Very peaceful. Extremely peaceful. He was not envious. He did not have that in him, which is an enormous thing.
No doubt?
He might have had about himself, his playing, yes. But he was not envious of anybody. He did not have this thing that somebody has more success than he has, or something like that. That was totally foreign to him. And that makes for a very relaxed and happy life. And frankly, what could he envy? He had nothing to envy. His career was going very smooth. Well, I tried not to annoy him too much. So, very well.
How could you annoy him?
Oh, well, you can always annoy somebody if you want to.
Did he have crotchets?
What's that?
Oh, little habits such as I don't want any birds outside of the window when I'm practicing.
Oh, no, he did not have.
No?
No, he liked it. Not at all, and he loved the dogs at a certain time. I had a whole house full of dogs.
Sounds like a very nice man.
That he certainly was, and I suppose that everybody who ever knew him or met him will tell you the same. And the very present thing to him was that he was considered a gentleman, which he was.
We spoke with Madame Brailowsky in New York City, where she makes her home.